Alright, I got the CV boots done, and so I figured I would, I didn't want to do a whole tutorial, and figured I would show y'all what I did. Okay, so of course you would have the wheel off, and once you jack it up and then take the wheel off, and then take the tie rod off of the knuckle here, pull that out of the way, and then undo this bolt on the ball joint, pull it out so that you can drop the A-arm down. Now make sure that you've got it jacked up and all the weight off the suspension, so that way the strut is extended all the way and all that. Once you do that, you just pull the well, after you have the wheel off, you got to undo that nut and pull the brake hub off, and then once all that's done, you just pull this strut out, and you can slip the axle out. And then up in here in the transmission, you're probably gonna have to just cut the old boot, but there's a little C-clip inside of the knuckle part of the CV joint. You gotta get a little screwdriver and pop that out so that the joint will slip out of that socket, and that the socket part of the CV joint stays in the axle. So pretty easy. And then put your new boots back on. There's a little joint, of course, stays on the you pull it out with the shaft, and there's a little C-clip on it that you undo, and then the joint slides off, so you can slip your boots on, and then just do this one first, and then slip that boot on, then put your joint back on, and then put it all back together. So, like I said, just a quick overview. These are Geo Metro boots, and they just fit. They're a little bit on the what do I want to say, loose side. Not loose, but they just fit on it. I think on the Metro they would probably you kind of have to expand the boot, to get it to go up on there. So the clips, the bands that came with the boots for this outside, for the bigger part, I had to use a universal band style for it. And then I couldn't find a boot for the inside, so I bought one of these silicone uniboots. It's like the different sizes, which kind of works out because the smallest size is the one that fits, so you cut the bigger sizes off, so it doesn't leave you with the staggered sizes because you're using the smallest one. The only thing I don't like is it's a little thinner material, and it came with the universal band clamps, and when I went to put the universal style clamp on the one on the other side, it actually started cutting into the silicone boot. It cut about halfway into it, and so I did not like that. So what I did is I took that back off, and I used these real good big tie wraps, the ones that have the little metal, not the nylon or plastic or whatever thing that catches it. use these, which are really good. See, it's got that little metal thing, so it goes in and it catches on. The metal part catches instead of the cheaper, you know, plastic ones like that. So it went pretty easy. Pretty happy with it. Here's the other side. This side was difficult because of that damage in the front end. They've got the suspension in such a bind with that bar welded like that. And I measured the wheelbase on the front, on the left and the right, and this side is an inch longer. And the wheel is an inch closer on this side than it is on the driver's side. And you can see where they've trimmed it out on this side. They didn't trim the door on the driver's side over there. So, you know, definitely got some problems over here. I'll probably grind that weld off of that bar there and measure up my wheelbase and then re-weld it, so get it right. And that mount is bent down, you know, because I showed the front end damage it had on it. This mount is actually kind of bent down in the front, and I guess that's why they did all this, trying to get everything back right. They did it backwards. It should have this bar should have been under here to make it right, and so they just put it more of a bind. So I've looked at seeing if I could maybe bend the frame back, but this is the only thing that's affecting. Since they've already done that to the bar, I think I'll just fix the bar where it adjusts it the correct way instead of the wrong way, and not try to mess with that frame. You can see where it's buckled here, and then the front cross members in pretty bad shape. So I'm not going to mess with all that. See, it's bent here, and it pulled from the floor. I'll probably get a piece of angle iron and bolt through to the floor and weld it along here, you know, bolt the floor to it, just to beef the floor back up so that the floor's got some support right there. So, other than that though, it's pretty good. Pretty happy with the way it turned out. But like I said, this side was difficult because they've got it in such a bind that with the CV shaft was actually hitting the shaft was hitting the bottom of the strut. So it was in such a bind I could not get the CV shaft out. I had to use a spring compressor and compress the strut so that I could get the CV shaft out. It was bound up so bad, and I had a heck of a time trying to get it back together. And once I got it back together, the strut was up against the boot. You know, it would have instantly torn the boot up. Of course, that was extended all the way, you know, because the suspension was all the way down, but still. So what I ended up doing, I had planned on cutting those spacers down. What I did for now, I took them out, and I can just barely turn without the wheels rubbing, but it's not going to tear my boots up. And I just ended up ordering the 2-inch lift. I found it on eBay for $99. So I figured I'd do this, and then that way later on if I want to go with bigger tires, all I got to do is put the 3-inch spacers back in it and drop this cross member about an inch, make a spacer, and then drop the front differential about an inch. So spacer back there, and I think there's another mount somewhere. So I'm gonna have to make a couple 1-inch spacers, but I could do that, and I'd still have my 3-inch spacers. So with that, and maybe some stiffer springs, I could probably fit some 25-inch tires. So I decided I'd keep my 3-inch blocks together, 3-inch spacers. So anyway, making some progress. Tomorrow, I'll probably can't really drive it, you know, because the wheels are rubbing. So while I'm waiting for my lift kit to come in, I'm gonna get this front suspension over here lined out. Go ahead and grind the welds off of that bar there and get it back apart, and try to get this suspension here lined back up and that bar back together where it needs to be. So anyway, thanks for watching.